Good morning, folks. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? Welcome to the UK Open 2026 in cold and wintry but sunny Reading. I myself am not there, as you can probably tell. I am tucked up warm at home, but I'm pleased to be joined by my co-commentator today, Mike Chappell, an expert player himself. How are you doing today, Mike?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm in obviously in Southend, which is also sunny and cold. I'm very happy to be here for the start of this tournament, and also for the start of this broadcasting, the first broadcast that we're doing live on this channel. So that's very exciting. So I'm very happy to be here, kicking off the commentary for that and for this exciting tournament. And we're going to have some other great commentators coming up, aren't we?
Absolutely, yes. So yeah, as Mike has alluded to, this is a new thing for us in many ways. So years ago, there was a streaming scene in Britain back when the tech wasn't as advanced as it is now. Then there was a hiatus for quite a few years, but we are back. So in November, we had our inaugural stream with the Winter Match Play tournament, which was an 18-game weekender in Milton Keynes. In many ways, that was a test run for us, and I will say it was very warmly received to the point where people really wanted us to release the stream. Initially, we thought we were just going to have that for ourselves to review internally, but people liked it. They liked what they saw. We've been working really hard behind the scenes for the time being in the 2 months hiatus, and we are back now. And just while we're waiting for the players, I just need to communicate with my producers briefly. So yeah, just talk amongst yourselves, folks. And we're also waiting for the players, and we have an absolute treat of an introduction game for you. We should be good to go in a few minutes.
Yeah, the first game is going to be Brian Poe and Zachary Dang. Brian's one of the UK's top players, or has been going higher and higher in the ratings recently. And Zachary is over from the US, I believe, and so not so well known to people here, but also a talented young player, I think, who's not quite as high rated as Brian, but I'm sure a very good tournament player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as Mike says.
So yeah, it should be an exciting first matchup. Brian could be one of the favourites for this tournament. I think he's
yes, indeed. So as Mike says, really interesting matchup. We've got Brian Poe of Hong Kong and Zachary Dang, who I believe is from Virginia. It's always nice to see international players who we basically aren't familiar with. Mike said, very strong. And it looks like the players are ready. You can see that he is seed 5 of 54, going from strength to strength. I was actually speaking about Brian recently to a good friend of mine, Joel Davey, who's also playing today, and Joel was saying that he doesn't even feel Brian has remotely hit his peak yet. The way he's playing, and he's still a young guy as well. I believe he's early 20s. I can't remember exactly. Speak to at all. I have no prior experience of him. As we say, we've been looking him up on Cross Tables, which, if you don't know, is a website where players input their results and their games for others to analyze. So, of course, you're free to go and do that as well. And we're going to get going with Brian. It looks like a promising opening round.
Sorry. Brian had a fairly easy decision, I think, on his first rack to play of one of the newer words, fav. I think get rid of the F and B and leave a TESI. I think that was fairly clear decision for him.
I believe Mike is on mute.
Zachary's got a Q, which means he's got a decision to make
in the back end. But in the meantime, I'll just back on. It looks like Brian, the pretty straightforward play of FAB, holding a blocky play, does take an A on the end as well. But just looking at but he is considering the go.
He could change some, including the Q. We could choose to play and hope that he'll get some better, which is what he's choosing to do.
Probably making Fave FAB. Does also play above the F.
Yeah,
that does open access to the triple word.
But and hope that he'll draw something like U or I or something, some vowels maybe that can help him play the Q next go. So the other option was maybe he could have changed, but he's decided to take some points and hope it works out better next time. I think either decision would have been, defensible. So he's played big go.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's back to Brian now. And he's sets up the word ties, leaving TS at the moment. He's got quite a nice rack. Other possibilities, I mean, Tess, making begot. He's likely to use the begot hook, I think.
Moving back to Brian. His rack has deteriorated somewhat from his opening leave. It looks like he's considering tithe, which I imagine he would play to make BE over on the right-hand side. Alternatively, he's separated out two of those three T's. Probably just if there's any way of playing them off for a remotely.
Yeah.
The go, of course, also does take a lovely back T to make the got. One of those hooks that can be quite easy to miss just because in your head you're changing the pronunciation of that O, so it can be not automatic to see hooks like that. But of course, a player of Brian's caliber,
I suspect
that kind of hooking is just instinctive. So I'm sure he's already spotted that.
Yes, I mean, I suspect he will be using that big O hook, whichever he decides to play.
He's taking his time here, which is understandable. It's also worth pointing out to viewers, if you've not played on stream before, it can be quite nerve-wracking, especially as this is game one of the tournament. There's going to be some nerves there for sure. So Brian just taking his time, paying due diligence to the situation, making sure he makes the correct play.
Have you is there anything, Joseph? I think
I also see
we
we've
might be having a slight technical
got
problem.
a lot of people already in the chat, so very appreciative of you joining us. Hello to Chris Hawkins. Thank you for all. Who I also see in the chat. Hello, Natalie, and hello, everyone else.
Yeah,
thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Okay, so Joseph has left for a moment, I think.
3 points, setting up his S
sorry,
on
we will
either end of that word.
I'll have to try and keep us going
so
for now.
An absolutely unapologetic fish. I like to see that. And Zachary has replied rapidly
yes,
with
okay,
ho to the right of the go. And we see in his draw that he's still holding onto that Q, and he's now triplicated his R. I really do think we're probably going to see a change from Zachary next turn. The moves coming thick and fast at the moment. Brian dumping off a U, which Zachary, of course, would sorely like to see on his own rack. With just another holding play, keeping a nice leave. And we move back to Zachary at whip. And I really do think at this point he's going to be changing. Yeah, so as expected, Zachary has changed out of that Q and triplicate R, keeping E and R, which looks to me to be the correct decision. And Brian continuing with the holding plays. He's played high for 18, keeping EIST. And that is a hell of a change for Zachary. He's going to be bingoing here. It's just a case of what he is going to opt for. He'll probably take some time here, cycling through the blanks, because this board is actually quite closed at this point. So after a bingo, Zachary has the opportunity with this bingo to really close things up and take a solid lead and force Brian to potentially take another low-scoring move in order to open it up. So very much advantage Zachary at this point. Natalie in the chat is suggesting Zachary may have just kept ER as opposed to ERN. And just projecting forward slightly to Brian, we see he himself has drawn into a bingo, which is going to play in 2 places, so he'll be pleased to see that. Zachary has gone ahead and played Ladrone, making his blank an O. And Brian is sitting on Kilties, which plays in spots. Just so the audience is aware as well, our co-commentator Mike Chappell will be rejoining us at some point. Yeah, as I said, this is quite new to us, so there may be some technical hitches along the way. There shouldn't be anything drastic that risks your viewing experience. Speaking of which, I'm doing some by Zachary's score, and we see that has now gone. So yeah, we're doing a lot of this stuff on the fly, folks. I'll be transparent with you. But a lot of you know that the work that's gone into the behind the scenes here. And yeah, we continue endeavoring to make this as good a stream as possible. And it looks like we are rejoined by Mike. Mike, just before I bring you back in, I'm just going to say it looks like Brian has not immediately spotted Kilty, which is interesting. Well, he will have spotted it, but maybe he's questioning whether it's good. But yeah, Mike, go ahead. Seems I've lost Mike again. It's not a problem. So as I was saying, Brian hasn't immediately slapped down Kilties. And if you're new to Scrabble, often players telegraph what they're thinking by the way they line up the tiles on their rack. And I haven't seen Brian do that with Kilties. So it's done. Are you there, Mike? Ah, yeah, Mike, you're not on stream. Don't worry. I will link you back in shortly. The audience can't hear you. Just to catch up on the action. Brian has gone ahead and played Dyke, so obviously wasn't 100% sure on Kilties, which is perfectly understandable. And we move back to Zachary, who's drawn into the X. Again, guys, just full transparency for the audience. We will be commentating more shortly. It's just that currently we are just having some tech issues, and I'm also having to communicate with the producers behind the scenes, keeping on top of the action as well. I'm just working to bring my co-commentator back in, and I'm liaising with the production team. These are just some teething issues, which were probably inevitable. And no doubt we will iron these out as we continue over this 3-day extravaganza. So do bear with, folks. In the meantime, I see Zachary has played Oxim, making Gorm, which is a beautiful find. Mike, I believe you are back with us.
Well, do you hear me now?
Yes, Mike. Yeah, have you been following the action?
I've been trying to as well as I can. I'm afraid I won't know exactly what the scores are because I was falling behind entering in Quackle. But anyway, we'll do our best. So we see. Could you update me with the current scores?
Yes. So Zachary is leading 171 to 79.
Oh, okay. I can see that then. Okay. I wasn't sure of the scores. I wasn't sure of the scores. I could see where the correct one.
As I alluded to, he's managed to close off the board. Yeah. And as I said, Brian then had to go ahead and open up. But he did manage to score well with the K in doing so.
Yes, okay. So Zachary has got good right with too many eyes then, hasn't he? And the J, so he'll be looking to do something maybe to get rid of the eyes and maybe to play off the J as well if he can. Roji or something like that. Near Clint. What do you think? Any other suggestions? It's a tricky one, maybe.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, he's got that. He's got Roji lined up somewhere. He's got Roji lined up somewhere. Maybe making HI. That looks good. Yeah, it looks the best place to play Roji under the H of HIE. That would be a good move. As I said, does the things that he needs to, gets rid of at least one eye. He'd probably like to get rid of more than one eye, but getting rid of one eye and the J and scoring reasonably, it does make a nice scoring spot for Brian, but it's probably the best he can do. Brian's got some nice tiles, some interesting tiles. He's got a Q and a U and an I and an S and a blank, so he could get a good score with the Q here, maybe. Maybe he'd like to score well. What he'd like to do here probably is score well with the Q and then save the blank for next time, if he's able to do that. He could maybe under something under Roji, if that's possible. But he's looking at a shorter word maybe, and hoping for a bonus with the Q. Yeah, play just the W and hope for a big bonus with the Q rather than. So that's another strategy. I was suggesting playing off the Q this time and then hoping for a bonus next time. But Brian has opted to hope to try and get a big bonus with the Q, which is quite likely with the letters he's got. So that makes sense. So back to Zachary, who has decent rack, still has double I's, but not bad letters. And he's in, of course, he's in pole position in this game. So,
right. Sorry about that, folks. I was just watching with Dutch team. Thanks for taking the rain.
If that X was floating, he would have the word.
I love this fishing play.
But anyway, as it is, maybe he'll try and play under the OW, the W that Brian just played. Something under there. Getting rid of it. I'll tell you what, something like the word peace, maybe PIECE. Get rid of a few of his tiles, I think. He wants to play off a few here on this turn. He's also thinking about being a bit defensive, maybe if he can, as he's got a bit of a lead. And Brian just played off one tile, which will be a bit of a.
I'm not sure who
on an alarm bell
in July. So
for Zachary, knowing that Brian just played off one tile, and be quite worried what was Brian up to. Is he about to play a bonus? So he'll be thinking about that. He could play something like Epical as well, higher up, but that would be very open. He probably doesn't want to do that onto the L of onto the L of Clint, but that would be a bit too open, I think, given that he's worried that, as we've just said, he's going to be worried that Brian is thinking about a bonus, so he doesn't want to particularly create another lane. Although you could say it doesn't matter too much on this board because there are so many openings anyway that you can't defend them all under OW. NE under NE or through the E of Dyke. So there's a lot of places he knows he can't defend them all, so he might not be too
just to be apparent,
too obsessed with defence on this move. He may just decide to balance his rack
asynchronization between me and Mike and the stream and what you're seeing. Again, this is just all very new to us.
Think about this one. He's probably because they say he's worried that
a lot of moving parts.
What Brian just played, just one W.
We all know what it's like with Wi-Fi issues, etc. But from what I can see in the chat, at least, you're following the action well enough.
And of course, he's right to be worried. If we look at what what Brian's actually got, which we'll come back to in a moment. But Brian has drawn very well when it comes to when it does come to Brian's turn, and he's looking at a couple of possible bonuses, I think. Okay, Pieta he's considering now, maybe under the OW or under the E of under the NE. Under the OW looks better, maybe. Score slightly more points, and also yeah, and I think that would be the only real reason. Pieta under NE would also open up a triple lane, but not a very scary one. But Pieta's a good choice, leaving if he's going. As I said, he wanted to play probably a few tiles this move, about 5. Something like Pieta would do the job. Leave IC. Yeah, Pieta under OW, as we thought. Looks a solid move. Leaving that A above a triple letter score is not so scary when the X has already been played. So over to Brian, he's got possible words like fakirs or marquis or something like that, or onto the L, squarial, a nice word. Onto the L of Clint. So he's got some, okay, he's gone for another one. He's gone for Dakiris, okay, through the eye of Clint. But he had a few bonus options there. That looks like one of the best ones. So scoring a lot of points there. Nice to get a Q bonus down. Is this being challenged? Looks like it's a challenge here because it's a high scoring word, and may have a slight doubt about the correct spelling of Dakiri. But at any rate, it's being challenged, but it's good. So it'll be 5 extra points for Brian. So he's almost caught up now. And well, Zachary's still not got a great rack. Not awful, but not great either. He's got 2 I's still. He's got a G, which is G and a C, which don't go very well together. G is a bit of an awkward letter, so slightly awkward. So he's got to decide what to do here now. He's the game situation is slightly different now because he's no longer like defending a big lead, but he'll be thinking about again trying to get rid of play off a few tiles here and improve his rack a bit. But it's hard to see anything very any kind of massive scores here. He could play If he uses that A of Pieta, play something like Magic, that would score nicely. It would open up a triple word score at the bottom, but it wouldn't be terribly dangerous. He has lining up the word magic. That could also play under any making neg, that it would score a bit less there, I think. About 25. It would score more under Pieta, but it'd be let's say slightly more risky, but not the most dangerous opening to make. I think I would probably play it down the bottom and using that A of Pieta. And that's what he's going to do. Yeah, he's going to play magic there. The C, of course, the C acts as a bit of a blocker for words extending to the right of that triple word score. So I think that was the best thing to do there. Leaving himself with IP and hopefully some good tiles next time. And Brian's rather consonant, 6 consonants and double D's. You'd be thinking he can't. I don't think he can do much to exploit that triple that was just opened. So he's looking at maybe the letters he'd like to get rid of, the O, D, D, B. Oh, okay, he can. That's probably the best. That's the best he can do with that triple. He did want to use it, maybe as it was in case Zachary had the right letters to play under there. So Bod looks like a good move. Undouble his D's. Still leaves himself with 4 consonants, but hoping to get a vowel. There's still plenty of vowels in there. Hoping to get a vowel next time. And meanwhile, Zachary, yeah, again, not bad letters, but not ideal either. Not say, for instance, he's got some tiles to score with though, especially the Y, with something like grey at the top maybe, or just GEY. He's got an S, of course, which is nice. So he'll be hoping to move towards something something good before long. He knows at least he's still got a bit of a lead, so he's still in a good position in this game. If he had an O, he would have pyroges, but nothing like that at the moment. So probably just looking to, yeah. If he played off, if he could play off 2 or 3 tiles, he would have a promising rack here. He could just play GUY guy through the U of Dakiris, leaving himself with very PIRES if he wants to play that way. Or he could just try and look for the highest score he can get for now. So he's lined up gay maybe above Dakiris, I think. Yeah, that looks like a good move. Leaving himself promising nice letters, scoring reasonably. Also, I suppose defending that area at the top a little bit, meaning that Brian will have to have an S probably, wouldn't he, to use that if he made ED and Ed into Kiri's. As it happens, Brian has got an S, but oh no, he's playing down there. Okay, making Yao. Maybe a higher score and maybe a bit more solid move. So same idea though. Brian's got some nice letters, but the Y is the more awkward one. But he does have a 7-letter word. Does it play? Deister does play, does it? No, don't think it does. It doesn't quite play at the top, does it? Because RA isn't a word. If he had a bonus, he'd probably be getting it down already. Knowing Brian, I'm sure he'd see anything he did have. So Deister, D-Y-E-S-T-R, is the bonus on his rack, but didn't go down. So he just played a decent score, Yerd, and lifted himself with a nice EST, hoping for something good next time. Zachary, hello, Joseph. As you can see, the game is fairly even now. Brian came back with a big score of Dakiris. No problem, yeah. So we're over to Zachary now, who's got an S, but some slightly vowel, too many vowels maybe to go with it. A-A-I-U. So he's got to think about how to play off some of those maybe. Again, he could play some kind of easier place. You could try and play something. There's not much down the side of Yerd, I don't think, because he hasn't got anything that took on the end of EE. Or even he hasn't got an E to go after the R either, has he? So maybe at the top somewhere. No, he's lined up hour. I'm not sure where he's thinking of playing that. But not power. Okay, so at least he reaches a double and gets a decent score. Yeah. And that does also defend that top area. Makes it a bit harder for Brian to get a bonus down there, doesn't it? Because now he would that DA only an O would go in front of that, wouldn't it? So that's a good move, good defensive move, I think, as well as balancing his rack. And well, we'll go over to Brian, but you can see he has drawn rather nicely for his next move. But Brian's got, again, almost a very good rack in terms of bonuses, but with the V makes it slightly awkward. And it's getting harder on this board. Spaces to get down a bonus are. He doesn't necessarily need a bonus to win, of course. He's only about 27 behind, isn't he? So he's in that kind of area where he'd be thinking a bonus would be great, but I might be able to win without one if he can think some way. It's getting harder, as I say. The spaces to get a bonus down are disappearing rapidly, I think, aren't they? Yes. Well, Denneries would go down, wouldn't it? Yeah, so I'm sure he would see that. Brian might well be in trouble because unless he decides to block that area, but he's slightly behind, so he probably might not be thinking of blocking, just trying to score what he can. Score if he could, as you say, he might be thinking he could still got a chance of winning without a bonus. He's looking at playing it under Pieter, I think, just getting a good score. That's a high scoring move, so it'll, put him temporarily level or ahead, but he's about to be hit, I think, with a bonus from Zachary. So yeah, it looks looking good for Zachary this one, assuming that he sees his bonus, which is not a difficult one as long as he looks in the right place, I think. Near side as well, but Dennery's will be slightly safer, I suppose, not taking an S hook. Any other possibilities? Yeah. No, he's got it. No, he's got it lined up. I think he's got Dennery's lined up. So, yeah, there we go. And meanwhile, Brian's got rather awkward. So this is not looking good for Brian this game now. Going to be a bonus down with awkward letters. And how many tiles remaining? There's running a bit low, isn't it? Coming down to the last part of the game, really. So it's not looking good for Brian. There's still some decent letters left. We'll see what Zachary's drawn. It's only, is it 4 in the bag, is it? After, at this moment, I think. Is that correct? Yeah, and looking at what Zachary's just drawn, Zachary's just drawn most of the remaining good tiles, I think. So the S and the Z, So yeah, but from Brian's viewpoint, what he'll be thinking is 4 in the bag. He's got to just play off some vowels, maybe try and set up a place for a bonus if he can. It's very tricky. So it's a tricky move for him. He's just got to do the best he can. Just, as I say, play off 3 or 4, I suppose. And, also, if possible, create another opening, but that's not easy to do. Maybe something under power. Or above. He's got an O, so he could play above, make ODA. That might be the best idea. Or is he looking at just playing off an O? I'm sure he'd be thinking through the possible bonuses in his head, being and he's capable of working them out, like what bonuses he could draw. Yes, that is surprisingly high. I wouldn't have thought he had that good a chance, but of course we're also aware of what Zachary has on his rack, which makes a difference. But yeah, OE, that would be, because that also scores at least a few points. Get but yeah, as I say, you could also try. Well, if he was going to play ODA at the top, he'd have to hope for the S for soda, I suppose. Apart from that, it's quite difficult for him to. Quite difficult for him, isn't it, to do much here? So a tricky position. You just got to work out which is the most likely. What bonuses he could possibly pick up with the remaining letters and where they might play, and just try and do his best with that. Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah, there may be again, if there are any, if it sounds at all strange to the audience, it might be because you haven't been hearing Joseph for a bit. But anyway, hopefully you're following and enjoying the match as it is. Still an interesting game, though. As I say, it's probably seems to be likely to be going Zachary's way, but Brian's still fighting, as we would expect, trying to work out which move gives him the best possible option of getting a bonus and getting back into the game. I think it would have to be a bonus. There is, so he might consider scoring high with the Z as well. If there were any great spots for that, there's like a ZA on the right, but it could only score 31 next to Deneries because it can't be doubled going both ways, as far as I can see. So yeah, I'm not sure what he's looking at now. He's still making his calculations, thinking what possible bonuses could I get. There are still some nice tiles, AE, NST, I, and but and he'd still be considering if he might be able to do something with the Z as well, as we said. So, but mainly he'll be thinking about trying to get a bonus, at least what move gives him the highest percentage chance of doing that. He knows that the odds are against him, but he's still got a few minutes. At least both players have managed their time fairly well in this game. So this is why it's good to leave yourself a bit of time for the end game when you might have to make some tricky calculations. And Brian's left himself the time to do that. Zachary will probably have a slightly easier move when it comes to his turn, but he's also got a bit of time left, over 3 minutes. And Brian is someone who would be very good at calculating this kind of position, I think, as well as accurately as he could. Not rushing into anything, but just giving him, as I say, working out which is the move that gives him a chance of at least drawing a bonus, or maybe even having ideally getting a bonus that could play in more than one place. But as we said, there are not many options on this board. It's under power, and as he has an O above the D of Dakiris and onto the C of Clint, but so as I said, with the nice letters remaining in the bag, with the bonus letters remaining in the bag, he might still have a hope of trying to draw a bonus, but in reality, it's not going to be so good because he's going to be drawing something like an F or an I. FI and L, I think, are left in there, aren't they? And another N. He's going to be drawing from the actual bag is FILN, which isn't that helpful. But this is a long tournament, so Brian will have plenty of time to come back as one of the higher seeds for this tournament. There's 24 games over 3 days, and we're going to be commentating on that the whole way on this channel. I'll only be here for this morning. We would do up until lunch, and you have other commentators for this afternoon and the other days. Some of the UK's top players we'll be commentating, and then for the final games on the final day, we've got a special treat with Chappell, one of the US's top players, will be playing in the final games. Okay, so Brian's decided to play with Justin O. Okay, thank you, Joseph. So Brian decided just to play off an O. He decided that gave him the best chance, and the place to score the most with the O was with Jot and Woe. So that gave him, at least he scored a few points. He's probably thinking it might be within range if he drew the Z of winning without a bonus. If he drew the Z and was able to do something good with it, but in fact he hasn't had a great draw, as we didn't think he would, because we'd already seen what was on Zachary's rack. So yeah, places for Zachary to score. Can you see a high Z score, Joseph, at all? No, he could just play ZA for 31, I suppose. Leave one in the bag. That's possible. Just though he'd probably be calculating that Brian can't really have a bonus here, or it's unlikely, but he might be uncertain. That could be one strategy: score 31 and leave one in the bag for safety. But maybe there's a better score you can get now that would put him out of reach. He just plays. He could play Zeta and PA, but that's not a massive score, is it? 36. Apart from that, he's setting up. Maybe he's thinking of playing Zeta down to the A of power because he's just got ZET. Because that might be a bit of a blocking move, although it would also leave an open E. Okay, so on wireless, yeah. So leave a nice ANST on his rack. Maybe he's thinking he might be able to go out with a bonus himself with the last couple. He scored enough to score 30 points, so put himself fairly safe unless Brian went out with a bonus. But I think he's probably worked out that that's not going to happen with the remaining tiles. And in fact, he's got a bonus rack himself. I'm not sure if one, there's quite a few anagrams. I'm not sure if one, yeah, I think currently entails does go down, doesn't it? Always, so yeah. Zachary's going to play a bonus, and that'll be the end of this game. He's got very little time left, down to his last few seconds. But he's going to get a bonus down any rate, and as I say, that will be game to Zachary. So yeah, it's been it was a close game for a lot. Zachary got off to a good lead, but Brian came back with Dakiris. But then in the last part of the game, Zachary, I suppose, drew slightly nicer tiles with getting bonuses like denaries and 10 ales down. And so Brian wasn't able to come back. He didn't have good enough tiles to be able to come back. And in the end, it looks like a more comfortable win than maybe it actually was. With that final bonus going down, it looks like a very big win for Zachary. But for most of the game, as I say, it was pretty close. I think both players played well, but Zachary just drew slightly better tiles in the last part of the game and was able to get those bonuses down. And maybe make the score a bit better. Make the game look a bit more uneven than it was, but it was an interesting first game. So a win for Zachary. Brian will be obviously disappointed, but he knows he's got a long way to go in this tournament, and he'll be hoping to do better in his next games. Okay, we're going to just have a quick break for now, and then come back to you with game 2 before long. So look forward to that.
Yeah? Yeah, but so you said that you were getting registered on desktop audio when you spoke. Okay, so when you're that sounds like it is maybe your input. If you go to the comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to game 2 of our coverage of the UK Open. I'm Mike Chappell. I'll be commentating on the games this morning up until lunchtime. My co-host Joseph is possibly having technical problems, so we hope he'll be able to rejoin, but if not, it will just be me covering this game. We've got Donna, Stanton and Euclid Huey, so this is an exciting matchup. Euclid, one of the favourites for this tournament, one of the top seeds. And Donna, slightly lower seeded, but still a very strong player for many years standing in the UK scene. Very tough player, so I'm sure we're going to have a good game. And Donna's starting. She's just taking her letters. So here we go. Let's see what we get. Okay. I think there's a couple of fairly with this rack. There's a couple of fairly clear choices for Donna, and the one that springs out to me first is the word Fonda, which I think Fonda, which I think she will know. Which is or another possible one is Fantod. Yeah, those are the two words that seem to jump out first. Not much between those, I don't think. Fantod scores 2 more points, so maybe go with that as she's doing with the F on the double word score. Also, it doesn't put any vowels next to double letter scores, so it's good in that way. So Fantod, a good solid first move. Also, some quite good word knowledge, as it's not the most obvious move word. So leaving just an A. And Euclid has got a slightly incorrect, too many vowels, double E's, double I's. So he's got to decide what to do with those. Maybe to try to undouble some of those vowels. And too many vowels. as he said. So he'll be maybe trying to play something parallel to Fantod, I think. Not going to be getting any great moves here, but there's quite a he could play so if he wants to play off a few tiles, he could play off finite or through the N or finito. If you play something like FIE above the ANT of Fantod, he would leave himself with still slightly vowel heavy rack, but there is a more difficult word down from the F of faux fi. Sounds like fee fi faux fum, faux fi, FOE, FIE, which I don't think I would see, but that is a possible word that's there. So we'll see if he spots that.
Mike, I'm just going to chip in as some test audio. Hopefully the audience can hear me. We've got someone in the back end who's just going to check whether I'm coming through now. But you are doing a good job. Thank you again for taking the reins. We're just going to see whether this has come through, but you carry on, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, he's thinking about 5 possibly, which would be a decent move. As I say, they still leave him slightly vowel heavy, but it's hard to get rid of all the vowels on this turn. So he's playing it there rather than slightly further over, FIE, but a good solid move again. Scores the same number of points whether he plays it there or above the ANT, so probably not much in that. He decided he preferred that placing for 5. Well, Donna's got a Q, she's got a U with it, but some slightly awkward letters. So slightly tricky move for her, maybe. She could exchange. If she exchanges, though, she also has a choice. She could either keep the Q, like exchange something like BVV and keep. So that's what I think that's what she's thinking there. If she didn't have a U with the Q, she might have well just wanted to change it. So she'll be hoping to draw a few vowels to go with that. Back to Euclid has got quite a nice rack. Some good chances to. Well, there is actually a very nice, but not easy bonus here, I think.
So apparently the I would take the reins. It looks like we might have lost Mike. Anyway, but it would appear that Euclid is on turn.
Oh, so now I'm disappearing from chat. Now it's my turn not to be heard, is it? Okay, so he's lining up Boerchi and that will be, once he's seen that, and there's probably not much else to think about. And maybe unless he's thinking this is a word or not, or is there just checking there's anything else? But very well spotted, not an easy bonus to see, but expert word knowledge there. And Donna didn't draw exactly what she would have wanted with those tiles. She would have liked slightly more vowels, I think, to go with her cue, but she drew an I at least. So she's got possible moves here. What she's got with using that, obviously the obvious place to use is that E on the triple line, which has just been opened for something like equip. That looks like the obvious move here. For Donna, equip or requin would also be possible over on that right hand side. That looks like the natural thing to do here. Just score some good points with the Q. Now that also she doesn't really want to leave that E open probably in the triple. So she wants to score well with it if she can. No, she's going to play elsewhere, is she? She's thinking of Viper, also on that through that E, maybe. But I thought that would be enough, and still try and get a score well with the QU next time. I think the Q move, I would probably have played the Q move here, but Viper is also a good move. Gets rid of some awkward tiles, scores well, and leaving QU maybe to get something good next time. So that was also one of the best moves available, I think. So Donna plays that. Maybe slightly more defensive as well than playing equip. So over to Euclid. It's got a slightly clunky rack here with G and K, but at least some scoring tiles, some tiles that score points available to him. Could play Cop G through that Cop E or Cop G through that J. And another good spot might be, yeah, there's a spot for a K next to in Viper, isn't there? So for KI, so you can't play much there though. Probably only maybe something like Choy. Keg above the FIE. I think something like Cop G looks pretty good, although it leaves the K in the top row.
One interesting point there, dangerous. So once where Euclid scores well, places the U,
and gets rid of. He'd probably like to get rid of a U as well, and maybe a G, but he probably can't get rid of all the awkward tiles this time. If he really wants to get rid of a G, so he probably just needs to score well with the K. I don't think there's any move that would, ideally get rid of all the clunky tiles. The K, the G and the U are slightly awkward, but he probably can't. I don't think he could score well and get rid of them this time. Geo, yeah. So he's just going for Choy. Okay, it's a solid move. Slightly more defensive, but scores well. It leaves not the best, but at least a balanced 3 consonants, 2 vowels. Back to Donna, who's a bit behind now, but she's about to. She's now scoring well with her Q. She had a nice rack, so she's playing well with the Q this time, and hoping to get a bonus with her blank next time, with a blank and S next time. So she drew well there, and I think that's probably her best move. Queen score well with leave herself BS and a blank next time. Very good chance of a bonus next move, and 39 points this move. So we'll play Donna there. Euclid still got slightly clunky letters, so he won't be able to do too much in response to that. I mean, if he plays next to parallel to Queen, he could play Gruel, but that would still leave him with 2 R's. We'll get rid of the G and the U though. A nice longer word from the EA, ear plug. That would leave ER, so that would be a nice word, but slightly harder to spot. To play ear plug down from the EA. He wants to get rid of several letters if he can, though. As I say, to undouble the R, probably get rid of the G and the U, ideally. The ear plug is a good way. This is probably the best way of doing that, but not easy to see. I mean, it would also be quite an open move, but the game's... He's only got a slight lead. He doesn't need to be particularly defensive at the moment, I don't think. He might worry a bit about opening a large area of the board. So I'm not sure what he's looking at the moment. As I say, he's a slightly good move. Okay, he's going for lerp. Okay, interesting word. Yeah, lerp. So scoring quite well. He has to leave GUR, but still, that's not too bad. And scores well, doesn't give anything away to Donna. So a bit more defensive than something like ear plug, but still scores solidly. Maybe the joint highest score, one of the highest scores available. Anyway, so back to Donna, who's hasn't drawn ideally with her. Not the kind of easy bonusy rack she would have been hoping for, I think. But she's exchanging, okay, leaving herself SI and blank. So that seems a reasonable idea, and hope to get a better draw this time. Okay, and well, Euclid, yeah, 2 Gs now, so it still remains a bit awkward on the U. I suppose that's a slight problem that he with keeping the G and the U from last time. He's got again. He could play again once again. He could play parallel to Quain and play Grue, GRUE. He hasn't got many great alternatives, I don't think. Or he could just play off GU, make PEAJ, which would leave a reasonable CA Cager, but that would only score 12, whereas Grue scores 25. It looks like probably his best move. If he spots it there tucked in parallel to Queyn. Difficult to get rid of both the G's unless he could play Jag, Jagg, but that wouldn't score that many, and it would make more openings. So oh, he's gone for that though. Yeah, I mean, he still scores a few because of the J. He decided he wants to get rid of both J's, which makes sense, and leave himself CERU, which is not a bad rack, although the U isn't ideal. So meanwhile, Donna's got a nice, I think there's going to be a bonus in this time for sure, with what she's got. Then maybe she's looking at something like unspied, is she? With what she's got drawn up, unspied, which could play making UG. Looks like that's what she's looking at. Maybe she's wondering if unspied is definitely a word. An alternative, if she doesn't play a bonus, is she could play Viperine, Viperine, for 39 points, and keep the blank. That's also possible. That would also be a decent move. She's not sure of a bonus this time, but she's got a few there with that she could play with UG, unspied, which she may be wondering, as I say, if that is definitely a word or not. But other things like undines or unipeds, but again, they're not totally obvious, so she may not be quite sure. So Viperine now also is not an obvious move if she's going for probably unspied, I guess. The blank is probably a P. Yeah, I'm assuming that the blank is a P there for unspied. Yes, that's confirmed. I've received confirmation that is a P for pied, for unspied, which is so well spotted by Donna there. She might have hesitated slightly, but she made the right decision that it is a word. So the score's about level now. Donna just goes 7 points ahead, and Euclid still, now he's got, having had some clunky racks with consonants, he's now got a few too many vowels, so he's struggling to get a great rack here. So now he's got to play off a few tiles here, clear out a slightly awkward rack. Maybe something through that D of unspied, like coud, C-O-U-D-E, or crudo. That looks like a good area to play, or even just crude, but that seems like crudo would seem slightly better because it leaves a CE rather than CO. So those, so he'll be looking to, as I say, that's what he'll be looking to do this move. I think undouble the C's, play off a U and a couple of other vowels maybe, but also try and score a few points in the process. Yeah, so what it looks like, he might be lining up something like crude or cruel maybe onto the L of lerp, possibly. That would be another possibility that would do the C, one of the C's and the U and a couple of other tiles and get a few points. Leaving himself with CO. Donna's not bad tiles, but slightly vowel heavier and with double A's, double E's. So yeah, she again wants to play off a few tiles on this, one of the E's, one of the A's, and a couple of other tiles maybe. Maybe a neat place to play is again parallel to QUEYN. She has a move, not exactly a great move, which is but quite good, which is great. GREAT, which would fit in there neatly, making tug parallel to QUEYN. So somewhere or something similar like greet or green in that area seems her best scoring. That seems her best scoring kind of area to play if she spots it, because it's slightly hard to see the words tucking in there and hooking onto UG. But she'll be thinking about getting rid of one A and one E and a G. She might. It also makes sense to just play off GAE and leave a very nice AENT, which is a very nice bonus leave, which is what she's thinking about. And she could play under making PEAG, and under Fantod she could play GAE, which would also be a strong move. As I say, leaving a very nice rack of AENT, scoring 17 points. So that's a very natural move, I think, as long as she well spotted, PEAG, not an obvious hook. So Donna plays that. Leave herself a nice rack for next turn. We've got a good alphabetical kind of rack, but not so good to play with for A, B, C, D, E. The Euclid and then two O's. So again, not an ideal rack. Double O's, too many vowels. You could play off, something like BAO, making NAB is a fairly natural kind of move, leaving C. Those are the letters he would like to get rid of most. Leaving himself with CDEO, which is a nice leave, scoring 25 points, and he's doing that. There was a very neat move spotted by a computer rather than me, which is Rodeo with ROADEO down from the R of Boergi, but that was very tricky to see. So Bow, though, a good solid move from Euclid, keeping him in the slight lead here, 25 points, I think. Over Donna, who has got a pretty nice rack. There's well, she's lined up a well-known common 7-letter word in Scrabble, Antli, but I don't think that plays anywhere on this board. I'm not sure there is any. She needs an E for alienate, maybe, but so I'm not sure there is any. She'll be disappointed, maybe, that I don't think there actually is any bonus on this rack on this board, in spite of having such a nice rack. So she might want to play off just a small number of tiles and keep a promising bonus rack, or she might. I mean, the best score available, if she sees it, would be Viperine, which we mentioned before, for 39 points, but that doesn't leave an ideal leave. extension like that, Viper, not easy to see. Again, using that R above, she could play Real, R-E-A-L, which will leave a decent A-N-T-I, or extend it slightly more fancy to Realia, leaving N-T. But anyway, she'll be thinking, first of all, I think she's looking for a bonus. She's still hoping, she's just checking she hasn't got a bonus through any of the floating letters, I think. And then she'll start thinking, she's thinking of maybe just playing off a couple and leaving, leaving a good, maybe a bonus rack next time, which is a natural way to be thinking. So she's just playing off AI and hoping for a bonus, leaving herself with a good bonus rack for next time, which was another strategy. She could either have done that or, as I say, played one of the longer moves that would score more, but maybe not leave her with such a good bonus lead. So Donna goes for that route. And Euclid, as usual, in this game seems to have a slightly awkward rack. But he's got some scoring possibilities, though. With the Y and if he sees the hook to Jaggy, he could play NYED for 41, which is, I think, if he sees that, it would be clearly the move to play. Doesn't open up too much. I mean, in any case, he hasn't got a great lead, so he doesn't need to be worrying. Doesn't need to be obsessed with defence at the moment, but on the other hand, he doesn't want to give too much away. But NYED would not give that much away and score 41 points. If you look at that rack, you might want to play something like Toddy as well, or Teddy. Teddy would play. But he's going for something else. He's going for Decry. Okay, that's also a good idea because it gets the D and the C tripled and leaves himself with a nice dot. So that's also a good idea. So Decry, gets, those are the letters he probably wanted to play off, although it might be nice to keep an E. Donna has, again, in the same kind of situation, really. This can be the downside of fishing for a bonus, that you can. She has lineate on her rack, but again, it doesn't go down, so she's once again just playing off an E. And hoping to get the bonus next time. But again, that was probably the best move of that type available. So one of the best moves available to her. With this type, just playing off an E for 14 is a good move, because this time she has got a very high chance of getting a bonus. As I say, if she wanted to score, she still had Viper Iron available, would be the alternative strategy. But she's gone for the playing off with just one tile. Euclid, not bad tiles, but not really very kind of bonusy either. But some scoring tiles, an H and an M, and something like homed, maybe. He probably wants to play off a few tiles, still try and get, there's still a blank out there, still try and get the remaining blank, and some S's. So he still probably wants to play off a few tiles, something like homed, making NABE and teed. would be nice for him. Also in a similar area, he could play mesh, only making also under Nabe and Teed, and Teed it would be then an OH. Mossy onto the Y of Decry would be a bit more risky. Opening up, also score quite well, but and leave DEL, but opening up a triple at the bottom, which he probably doesn't want to do. Yeah, just looking off to play off, probably play off a number of tiles here, something like homed, or maybe he's going for a shorter move, and it's hard to see what he's planning with the way he's arranged his letters. Some players give more clear information than others. Yes, he's just going for a shorter. So he's going for a different strategy, going more for the leaving a balanced rack, going for a bonus strategy by only playing off the M and T, and even so lower score but more balanced rack kind of strategy he's gone for. And Donna, in her attempts to find a bonus, again hasn't quite succeeded. As I say, which is the drawback of the strategy of just playing off one or two tiles. But of course, it's also difficult because not criticizing Donna, because it's a difficult thing to do with those 1 point racks, because you can't score that many either. So it's a difficult thing to do. Vibrine is also not easy to spot, because if she saw that and knew that, she might well play that, because that's enough points to make it worth it, I think, at 39. But it's not, extensions like that are not easy to see, even if you're sure of the word. So she's got to decide whether to once again go for the strategy of just playing off a couple. At least she can score a few points with it this time, so it's probably worth doing, just playing chin. That's probably the best move, because apart from Viperine, I think this is probably the best thing to do. Is just to play chin and points, and again leave yourself with a balanced rack. Okay, Euclid did draw a bonus, which he's put down straight away of Shold. No hesitation there. So his bonus, his search for a bonus, his picking for a bonus worked better than Donna's that time. So he's put that down straight away and takes a good lead in this game. Now, what's Donna will be thinking? She'll be hoping with those around. She's thinking about the word insulate, which unfortunately doesn't quite. Probably thinking about that, which doesn't quite go down. Yeah, around that S, very nearly a 9-timer, but not quite. So a bit unlucky. She'll be thinking that's a bit unlucky there for her. But again, I don't think she has a bonus here, unfortunately for her. She has 7 once again, as she has had many times, a 7 on her rack because she's lined up Alunite. But once again, it doesn't play. So once again, it's a choice between Viperine or for score, or she might go for Insuli through that S. Just give up on this rack, trying to play off 1 or 2 tiles and take that spot, which is a dangerous spot, through the S, and turn over tiles and go for the other blank with Insulae, INSULAE. I think that might be what she decides to do. Bit of a tricky move here, because you'd be aware that she hasn't been scoring many in the last, she's almost 100 behind now. So she may be reluctant to only say play off just a U this time. She may want to play off a few more tiles and score some points. I think so. I think Insuli would be a decent idea. Again, of course, Viperine's still there. So tricky situation for Donna here, because she needs a bonus quickly, really. But on the other hand, she would like to score some points as well, because she's in danger of falling too far behind, where even a bonus, wouldn't be enough to catch her up. She's just wondering about how many tiles are left. There's still a few left. Still quite a few left. Enough tiles for her to come back still. So tricky decision for her here. She's still checking, I think, whether she's missing anything through that S as a possible, or elsewhere as a possible bonus, maybe. Or and then if she can't see a bonus, as I say, she'll be deciding whether to just play off 1 or 2 tiles again, or try and score a few more points and turn over more tiles. So she's decided on, just playing off a couple of tiles, but and to make a new opening as well, and at least score 10 points with CAL. So let's see. So it makes at least a new opening along the bottom. Euclid's got a mixture of the kind of 1 point bonus friendly tiles and the W and Z for scoring, so should be able to get a good score here. Thing that one that looks possible is Woots through the O of Shoaled. Nice word, WOOTZ. That would score 42, I think. Or he might want to play through the S as he's ahead, just in case. Just to avoid any possibility of a 9-timer, so he could play. Okay, he's playing there, but he's keeping his Z. This is a good idea, I think. He's thinking he can take out that S, score 36 this time, and leave himself the Z to score well next time as well. So that's a good idea, I think, from Euclid. Oh, okay. Oh yes, it's yes, and in fact, if he hadn't just as well for Euclid that he did go there, otherwise Donna would have had nutsiest. She would have had a 9-timer lined up, which would have been disaster for Euclid, but great for Donna. So it was a good idea for Euclid that he did go there just in time, but unlucky for Donna because she would have had nutsiest as a 9-timer, but now she's got to think. So Euclid made the right decision there to block that rather than play something like Woots, but to block that S just in case of a 9-timer. And so, Donna once again back to the back to the same situation really of playing of something like UT or or Viperine is the only high scoring move, but as I say, not a tough one to score to see. So she's back to the same situation really, where she's probably going to have to play off just UT or something like that, which she could do above the HO of Shold, which is 120 behind now though. So ideally she'd need to score some points, but she hasn't really got the tiles to do that. That 9-timer was probably her last real chance in this game if it had been left open. So she's going for it, over there on the right, so that she also makes another opening. But she is playing off UT, making put over there, and making a new opening as well for Euclid to worry about. So I think that's all she could do if she didn't see Viperine in this situation. So Euclid still got his Z. I'm just thinking about this time scoring well with the Z. Well, now Donna has given him a nice hook for that with the PUT for putts. So he did have City lined up, but which would be a nice use of get rid of. But now she's given he could also play it that way, making the hook of putt and playing City. Yeah, the alternative was something like Whiz and putts. So there's not much to choose except Whiz would have scored slightly more, but either way, I think it's going to be a winning move for Euclid. So he's now like over 150 ahead. So I think fairly comfortable in this game. Donna has been a frustrating game for her, I think, with all these bonusy racks that she's had, but being able to get unable to get a bonus down. And again, she can't hear, although again she's got another rack with bonuses on it, say Eins. But again, she can the thing to do here is just play HE. But at least this time she could score 30. If she played at the bottom with Hay and L, she could have got 30 for HE, so maybe that was a slight mistake, but she's getting 22, which is not that far behind. Maybe she wanted to leave that area open. So the right idea, though, just play off EH here is all she can really do, and hope still to get a bonus, although spaces for that are rapidly running out. And in fact, now Euclid's drawn some good scoring potential because he's got the last blank and an X. So there is a very easy score would be Woks here, but there are some quite fancy moves he could play if he knows them. If he sees them, he might well know them. Maxwell, which I presume is a scientific unit, maybe named after Maxwell. I don't know. Onto the L of CAL, using the blank as an E. That would be a very nice move, but not easy to see. Or Ox Ghoul, another fancy move onto that L. but easier moves would be, the alternative is to play something with the X, let's say, and keep the blank on his rack for next time. But he's thinking this is the bag is empty now, so he knows what Donna's got. She's got another bonus rack, but I don't think it's going to play anywhere. Yeah, so he's gone for a simpler move, walks. This is fine, score 31, leave the blank for next time, probably go out next time. So he's playing that. Donna, as usual in this game, has a 7 on her rack, but nowhere to play it. So she may well just play under Wox, I think, for SI for 35 or OI. If she wants to keep both her S's. Yeah, that's what she's SI is what she's doing. That's natural move, I think. And Euclid's played small to go out with, yeah. So yeah, final score. I think it's 3-1-4. Well, before the let's see, it would be I think something like 309 to Donna and 479 to Euclid after so a good win for Euclid in the end. Donna unfortunately got stuck in a situation where he was having lots of bonusy racks but unable to put one down and having to play off one or two tiles every time and then not quite getting the bonus. Almost, she had a chance of a 9-timer, but Euclid blocked that. That would have been her last chance to get back in the game, and Euclid played very solidly. So, yeah, good game, and as I say, a bit of a frustrating one for Donna in that she was having all those bonus racks, but unable to play a bonus and unable to score many points as well. So I think we're going to take a quick break again now. So see you for game 3, which will be the last one before lunch. Okay, so welcome back for game 3. This is of the UK Open. I'm Mike Chappell, and it's going to be just me again for this game. Hopefully, in the afternoon session when Joseph Bennett will be back hosting, and Natalie Zolti will be commenting. That should be something good to look forward to. Right now we have Wesley Choy, who up against David Webb. Wesley's originally from Hong Kong, but living in the UK, a strong player. David Webb, very well known, been at the top of the UK game for many, many years, and also known for his streaming channel, Dweebo Vision, where you can watch him playing on YouTube against different players. Well, I can recommend that anytime, which has been also going for a long time. So Wesley started kicking off this game. So let's hope for a good game. Interesting first rack. Some nice letters, some not quite so nice for Wesley. He's probably going to be looking at leaving the nice ones like ARS, playing something like Figo or just Fog, something like that. He's looking at Fog, which is either anything like that. I think Figo or Fog would be a good move here. Get rid of the awkward F and G, leave himself with nice. In that position, doesn't give too much back to David, so that's a good start. David's got a pretty nice letters as well. I think he may have been hoping for some letter there for an 8, maybe an I for royalist or something like that, or solitary, but he hasn't got that. But he's still got some, so he's probably maybe just looking to pay off the Y on the YO or something like Yo maybe. You could play under the FY. He's obviously very tempting here. Could play for the Y under the, or if he wants to play slightly longer, he could play tie row and leave himself with ALS, which would also be nice. But it looks natural to put that Y under the F anyway, whatever he plays. Although, I think you could also put it on the end of Fog to make Fogey. But that would score a bit less at this point, I think. So he's probably looking at, deciding between just playing off 1 or 2 tiles, with something like Yo, or playing slightly more. We could play with something like Tyro. He could play also Loy, Loy, and Fy. Although that does place an O in a dangerous spot above a triple word score. So I think those are the kind of things he'll be considering. Either way, he's probably going to put the Y under that F. He's looking at Loy, which is one of the good moves, I think. Leave ARST, score 22 points. I think that would be one of the recommended moves. No, he's decided he's going to play Loy, but making Fogey rather than under the FY. Okay. Maybe he wanted to slightly more open board as he's got promising bonus letters. So 2 S's for Wesley now. He has got bonuses, but they're not the easiest, I think. The best move is down from the O. Maybe I won't say straight away what it is. People can think about that. That's easily his best move, but he's also got surmisal or simulus through with the L of Loy. Again, those are not kind of gimme, but not kind of simple bonuses. So the highest scoring one down from the O is actually Ossarium, OSSARIUM. So that's a tough one to spot, though. But if he does, it's easily his best move. But he may well not. If he doesn't play a bonus here, I think he could play Amuse, maybe AMUS under Fogey. Would be a solid move. Something like that, score 29 or 30, and that's what he's going to do. Yeah, the bonuses were not that easy to see, so this is also a good move. Score 29 and leave IRS, play off one of his two S's. But in a way, it doesn't make it completely obvious that he's got a second S, because it might make David suspect that, but he wouldn't be sure because the S there added enough points that you might not be quite sure whether he has got another S or was just going for extra score. David's got a nice rack here. There's a 7 on this rack, which I'm sure David would know. Tarsil, which you can play under making FAE, Omar, and GUL. That fits in nicely. Or you can also play laterals through the L of Loys. So he's got a decision, but I think he'll certainly, with David's word power, I certainly expect him to be putting down a bonus here. And he's seen Tarsil, which is also had to spot. It's not that it's a word he ought to know, but he still have to spot it and then see the place where it goes under Fogey, which is not totally under Fogey and Amuse, which was not totally obvious. So well played by David, and he takes the advantage in this game, but probably not for long, because a nice rank with a blank and an S for Wesley. So he's probably going to be playing some kind of bonus himself, quite likely through that T of Tarsil. There are quite a lot of options there. Something like shirtier or 30s, shiftier, anything like that. With the I, if he thinks of the IER words, he'll probably get one of those. Or hairiest would score a bit less. But anything like that, he's likely to. So he's probably going. He's pretty sure to spot something like that, I think. Oh, did I? Sorry, I got that wrong, didn't I? Sorry, he's got an extra I. He hasn't got a blank. I don't know why I said that. Not as good a rack as it was. Not as good a rack as I thought. Sorry about that. I saw it as a blank for some reason. So he's got almost a good rack, but one too many eyes. Sorry about that. Hilly looks, so coming back to the real rack, Hilly looks like a fairly natural move. He wants to get rid of a couple of those eyes basically, but if he plays HILI, that looks a fairly obvious way to do that. Or a slightly more fancy way, SIRIH, but which would make a hook for his S along the bottom row. But that's a bit more of a strange word to see, odd spelling, SIRIH. Or he could just exchange the two I's and leave himself a nice rack, EHIRS. The H goes well with those letters. So I think those are the things he'd be considering. If he, first of all, though, he's probably just thinking, do I, even though I've got three I's, do I have a bonus with that T? And he's gone for a similar idea to Hilly, but Leary, again, he's done what he's wanting to do is get rid of the two I's, but maybe he wants to keep the H because it goes over the S and gives him some scoring insurance for next term. So Leary is what he's gone for. But again, the main thing I think was to get rid of the I's there. So David's drawn a Q, but he's lined up QAT there. And that's going down fairly quickly for 50 points. So that Leary worked out very nicely. David must have been pleased to see the Leary come down, giving him a perfect place to play QAT and leave quite a nice BINE on his rack. So not much to think about there for David. A bit unlucky for Euclid there that he played the perfect move for David to get 50 points. But he's drawn a Z to go with his letters. Which might mean at least gives him scoring potential. He might have been hoping for a bonus this time, but having the Z still gives him potential to score a lot of points, so it's just as good, really. He'll be like, so the things he'll be thinking about are he's got a fairly, he could play Z or Zin or Z making T's with the TI that's just been created, but the drawback of that, he scores 44 or 45 points, but he'll be thinking the drawback of that is that it places the tile in the triple lane. There is a difficult thing to spot for 66, and a 9-letter word actually through the through the OMA, which is a word that he would know, but you wouldn't probably look there. That's not an easy thing to see. Even though, as I say, it's a word he would know, I'm sure, but to spot it in through OMA like that would be very difficult. That would be nomadizes, but that would be very fancy. But he's probably thinking about whether to take the points for one of those words using tis. Zin or Z or Zen, or to play something safer like hazed, HAZED, but that still leaves a Z next to a double word score. Yeah, he's decided on Zin, just take the points, and leave a very nice DEHS on his rack, take the risk of putting the N in the triple line, which probably isn't a greater risk. David is slightly vowel heavy rack, also V, so not ideal, but he can score quite well with that N in the triple, but which Wesley has just put out there. He can score something like Avine or a bit, or what he's going to play, I think, is Vienna, which is very nice for 39. That's probably his best move, his high scoring move. So well spotted by David there. Vienna for 39 goes down, and David keeps a good lead. Yeah. Yeah, so Wesley's, well, he looks like he was thinking of the word pig heads or something like that, or the way or pig shed, possibly, the way he set up his tiles. But again, he has actually got difficult bonuses here, but they're not ones that are easy. They're difficult ones to spot. I probably wouldn't see them. And there's through the T. There's through the T of tar. There again, through the T of tar seal. The best one, he has got actually got a 90-point word. Despite, DESPIGHT, but again, not an easy word. Then if he doesn't see that, he'll be looking to maybe score some points with the P and the H and the D, maybe. He could, if he played Phage through tar seal, PHAGE, that would also open up a new area at the bottom, lower down, open up more space for him if he wants to play a move and say doesn't see the bonus, which as time is going by looks like he might not. There's also a P hook for GUL, which you might be looking at, making gulp. You might well be looking at that. No, he's going for Phage, I think, which is I think the best move apart from the bonuses. So still a good move from Wesley. He's getting 28 points and leaving DIS, and as I said, opening up a new lanes, some new areas at the bottom of the board. So I think if you didn't see those difficult bonuses, then that was probably the best move. So David, meanwhile, bit some good tiles, but only one vowel. But he's got tiles that he can still score with. Easy way would be clap. If you know, assuming David thinks of the word clap with a K, KLAP. You could play that onto the P of Phage. Doesn't, he's thinking he's a bonus ahead here, so he doesn't want to make massive openings, but that playing clap wouldn't open anything that much. It's not that likely that Wesley would get a massive bonus down onto the K, though it would be possible. Another natural kind of word to think of with that rack would be like Mac, M-A-C-K, which could be played, but that would be slightly more dangerous going down into the bottom triple line. Looks like he's got clap lined up, so well spotted by David. That's a very good move. And not the most obvious word, even so. Well played by David to see that one. To Wesley, He's unfortunately got 2 U's now, which rather spoils his rack, which has got nice letters apart from that. So there's not too much he can do this turn in terms of he's not going to be scoring that high. He can use the R of Tarsiel to play something like Rud, R-U-D. Well, he's thinking of playing of both his U's with U2 or 2-2 maybe. 2-2 from the T of Tarsiel. That's another possibility. Yeah, get rid of both U's. And score slightly less. So he can either score slightly more with like RUD or RUDI, but leave one of the U's, or he can do like this and get rid of both U's with 2-2, but score slightly less. So either way, there's a case to be made for both those things. The 2-2 is a good move, I think, score 13, and leave himself with decent DIRS. Meanwhile, David has got too many E's here. Again, nice letters apart from that. He's probably just going to want to something like to play off something like EEM. You could do that by playing Amuse and EME. That seems a very solid move, leaving CERT. Or if he wants to play something to make it a bit longer, he could make it MC, which would also be a good move in the same place. Just extend it EMCEE, nice word, and MC. So not much to choose between those, I think, really. MC scores slightly more, but leaves RT. EM leaves probably maybe a slightly better leave of CERT, but scores 8 points less. So those are both possible choices. He's looking at something else at the moment, erect, or is he looking at EM above clap? He maybe was thinking of playing Amuse and erect. No, he's playing it that way, the other way, adding his E to the GUL. Okay, maybe that's slightly more defensive. But either way, it's still solid move from David. And keeps him in a good lead. So Florid's on the rack for, which probably isn't a word, I don't think, is it? I'm not sure. But it doesn't play anyway, even if it was. Well, no, it would if it was, but I don't think it is. Sorry. Sorry for that. But at any rate, yeah, sorry. He's probably looking to play off a number of tiles here, though. He could maybe he might have to, if to score well, he's going to have to use the S to score really well, which he might be a bit reluctant to do. But all the high scoring moves would use the S. Either making some of them making claps like fields with an I, FIORDS, or folds or something like that in that area. CORF down to the bottom, which I believe doesn't take an S. would be another possibility. That'd be an interesting one. Saying it wouldn't be as risky as all that, but maybe he wants something slightly more open than that. And also with 2 blanks out, he might think of, it might be worth playing something like Fields, score 31 points, and go for those blanks. Also open up the top half of the board a bit. On the other hand, he might think he wants to leave that S hook there, as it's such a nice one, onto clap, and he's behind, and play somewhere else. So those are strategies he could think about. He needs to be a bit careful, Wesley, with his time, though, because he's slipping a bit low on time. Okay, he's decided to score a few points and balance his rack with Phil. He wants to preserve the S and hope to use that claps hook to score a big score in the next move or two, to catch back up with David. David's drawn one of those blanks, but he's got a slightly vowel heavy rack and double A's and double T's. So there is a bonus, which is a normal kind of word, but not that easy to spot. Although it's a kind of I won't say everyday word, but a normal enough word that people would know it. But it's with the blank and those double vowels and so on, it's not the easiest thing to actually spot it. Is there so that word would be emaciate, which everyone will know, but as I say, but isn't very easy to see. But he seems to have got it lined up, well spotted by David. A good spot there. As I say, it's not the hardest word, but with those letters and a blank, not at all easy to see. So well played there by David. And this is going to put him into a very commanding lead. His only worry will probably be that Wesley might hit back with a 9-timer through that E, because he's going to be 160 ahead after that. But he's still right to play the bonus emaciate, in spite of leaving that E out there, because the risk isn't very great that would happen. And in fact, because Wesley has a J, and 2 O's, he's not in a position to get anything like to get a 9-timer, but he can score through that E with Red John for 36. Seems like or unless he decides to leave it open, just because a 9-timer is probably his main chance of getting back into this game, and there might be a chance that David didn't block it. They're probably only a small chance. But if he could play, well, he doesn't really, if he's thinking about leaving the 9-timer open, he doesn't really want to play Jot next to the T of emaciate. He could use his S and play dojos and claps. So tricky choice for Wesley here. He could say either use that E, or, which he probably should, I think, because it's unlikely that David will leave it open, but he might think it's his only chance of winning is to get a 9-timer through that. On the other hand, he may think there's still a blank out there, a lot of time to go. He may get a couple of bonuses and come back if he gets a good score now with the J. So he might pick up the other blank and get a bonus down and get back into the game that way. So if he wants to use that E, then as I say, okay, he's instead of reg on, he's playing G-ons, which scores the same amount, so the same kind of idea, and even DOR. So the right idea, that I think, to play through that E and score some points with the J. David has got this time too many N's, and also a U on his rack, so not perfect, but again, he's got some scoring potential, something like Runny to the left of 2-2, making rug and so on. Runny would be fairly obvious with this. Nunny is also a word with an N. But Runny, I think, is a likely move, likely to see here. I don't think David will think it's a great risk to put a Y in that triple lane. So he might be considering that a 9-timer. He doesn't want to open any kind of 9-timer. He might want to play somewhere else. He could also play Runny onto the F of Phil. Or he could play across from that F. He could play Funny. So those might be, he might consider those as slightly safer, even though it's not a massive risk. Putting a Y in the bottom row, David might prefer not to take even a small risk and play Runny or Funny higher up. But something like a UNNI word, yeah, so he's going for that option. Looks like Funny. I think that's a solid option. Score 19, leave himself with a nice, very nice ENR and not really give too much back for Wesley. Who's got decent rack, but not going to be massive scoring, I think. With the B and the 2 O's. So it won't be ideally what he was hoping for in this position, where he needs very good racks to come back. I mean, looks like he's considering Vardy onto the Y, which would be a decent score and can open up a couple of new lanes. The only disadvantage would be that it'd leave 2 O's. So that would be a move with some advantages, but not ideal in leaving 2 O's. Onto the U, he could play Vodou, Vodou, leaving ART on his rack. That would be a nice move, but slightly harder to spot. Or just get rid of the VO and play VOR, where Cat is down onto that AR, leaving a nice balanced rack of ADORT. But that probably, it creates a lane, but through the V, but not a great lane. So that's why he's thinking of something like, to say, he looks like he was thinking about. No, he's just, yes. What's he going to play? Oh, I see. That's quite clever. He's setting up Votary. So he's setting up Votary for himself. So a clever idea from Wesley. Less obvious than the other moves we were thinking about. He gets rid of one of the O's and leaves VOT. So that's a clever plan. He's got to try something different, I suppose, if he wants to get back into this game. He's got to try not just for bonuses, but for big bonuses. either to open a 9 timer or to do something like this and aim for a bonus with a V across the top. Not much that David can do about that directly, but he's got decent letters himself. Oh, notary, of course. I was forgetting notary. Yes, of course. He's got an in. He's got. In fact, it's worked out perfectly for David, hasn't it? Because he can play notary and Gorhen. So, in fact, it didn't work. Wesley took that risk, but in fact, it didn't work out that well because David had a perfect response in notary. So, unfortunate for bad luck for Wesley there. He tried something, but unfortunately it backfired. David the perfect response of Gorhen for his left on the board. It's a bit of a faint hope for Wesley now to come back, but I'm sure he's still going to keep fighting as well as he can. Although he may start to be thinking about just reducing the amount of spread he loses by. Also, he hasn't got that much time left to think things out. You could play Bivia. I mean, these are words which don't create anything particularly new, like Bivia or Vidiot, onto the letters of notary. But they would score and get rid of his most awkward letters, but they won't give him probably improve his chances of winning particularly. He might want to try and think of, perhaps he's trying to think of something more creative, setting up another, like he did with Otary, trying to set up another opening for a high scoring bonus. Or as I say, he could start to play just for points and maybe to try and reduce his spread if he doesn't think he can win the game. But he's probably still going to keep trying for now. Okay, so yeah, that's a move that does make an opening at least. Gets rid of the B and the V. Leaves 2 eyes, but it does at least make a new opening for him and score a few points. David's got not a very nice rack, but it won't worry him too much now at this point, I don't think. He'll be pretty happy with the game situation. He's got Woody, I think, would be a fairly easy thing to play here. Onto the O of Bravo would close up that lane that Wesley just created. That should be something like that, and hasten towards the end of the game with not that many tiles remaining. Maybe pick up the other blank. Yeah, that looks like a fairly natural move for David to play Woody. I was thinking of Dowie instead. Okay, same kind of idea. I think he's wondering how many tiles are in the bag. Is it 8, I think. So be thinking is Wesley got any chance of playing 2 bonuses, and there aren't enough tiles for that to happen left. So Dowie, same idea as Woody. Basically doesn't score quite as many, but that's also fine. Take out that line. that Wesley just created and get rid of most of his awkward letters. So that's fine from David. Unfortunately for Wesley, he's got awkward letters as well, so his chances of coming back are non-existent really at this point. He's probably just going to try and score a few points. Maybe with something like WAID, or he's looking at the word Weiss from that E of Dowie, maybe. Yeah, that looks a very natural move. I think he's just trying to score a few points now, and also he's short of time to think of much else. So yeah, that's all he can do now, really. I think just score a few points with his tiles. And meanwhile, David's still got nice letters. He's got the X and the other blank. So everything's still going well for David. Ooh. Now there's actually I think 100-point bonus available here. I don't know if people can spot that. I don't wonder if David will, if he'll. There are other nice moves as well. Up at the top, using the top triple, more like offsides, for instance, or doxies. Those kind of words, or just oxide even, and which score about 50 points. But the 100-point one is actually through the A of emaciate. If you make the blank an L, there's a oxidable, which I wonder if David will have a go at that if he thinks of it, or if he'd even know it. But he could go out in style with 100 points. He's got. If he does think of it, he might go for it because he's nothing to lose really. On the other hand, he may not. He may think of it. He may not. He may even know it. We don't know. So he's thinking about something anyway. He's written down something and he's thinking of something. So he may be. He may have thought of it. Yeah, looks like he's lining it up, or is he just lining up oxide? No, it looks like he's lined it up. He's thinking about it. He's going for it, I think. So brilliant play from David here, because it's a difficult spot. And so a brilliant play in that way, but also a lot of players would probably have just been knowing the game was won, might not have thought for that long, just have stuck down oxide or something at the top. But David, very well done there, brilliant play, oxidable for 100. So just to put the nail in the coffin for Wesley, very well played, great finish from David there. Very nice finish to this game. So that one just didn't go Wesley's way. That's just being challenged naturally, and of course Wesley is bound to challenge that. But yeah, brilliant play from David at the end there. But also emaciate, very well spotted with the other blank. So he had both the blanks, but not easy things to spot, especially oxidable, which was, as I said, at the end there, he could have just put oxide down and not thought too much. So yeah, I mean, David may have had a bit of luck in that game as well, but very well played from him, and good effort from Wesley too. He just didn't quite have the right ammunition in that game, I don't think. And with David scoring so heavily, he wasn't able to. He didn't have the ammunition, I think, to catch up or to compete with David in that game. And of course, in the end, losing by a lot because of that brilliant finish from David. So a very exciting finish to the morning's play. So I think it's lunch. It's going to be lunch now. So that's going to be all from me. Hope you've enjoyed this morning's play. And you'll be getting Natalie Zolti commenting in the this afternoon. I'm sure that'll be great. And I'll be back for, I think, only for one more hour in this tournament on Monday morning. But there'll be a lot of great commentators, and hopefully Joseph will be back as well for the afternoon. So, all right, thank you for listening, and we'll now go to lunch.